Monday, 10:04 a.m. Zoom session. Team realignment briefing. I already knew something was off the invite, said, optional but recommended. On the screen, a pale background, a presentation icon, and Jared in the corner, the new communications director hired just 3 weeks ago. White shirt, flawless fade haircut, a look like those who always smile slightly, even when announcing someone's departure. He starts cheerfully. Happy Monday, team! Excited to walk you through our AI integration roadmap. I'm sitting in my Palo Alto studio, black coffee in hand, camera off. Jared clicks through slides. They look nice and terribly empty. With GenAI-powered systems, we're streamlining redundant processes. We're creating a future where content practically writes itself. This allows us to reallocate human capital more strategically. He says it with such confidence, like repeating someone else's words, without really understanding what exactly is being reallocated. Then comes the moment he apparently considers a delicate transition. Michelle? He addresses me without even looking at the camera. Your tasks can now be handled by GenAI workflows. It's not personal, it's progress. It's not personal, it's progress. Words behind which it's easy to hide everything, from stupidity to cowardice. I don't respond immediately. I just stare at the screen. At the slide where, over an abstract wave of AI algorithms, it says, Empowering Innovation. I mute the sound, then the mic. Because if I spoke, I wouldn't stop. Inside, not anger, not resentment. Inside, crystal clear calm. Because I know. This person doesn't know how what I built actually works. He sees tasks, but not the meaning. He thinks anything done quietly doesn't matter. I watched him forward my old materials for the second week in a row, passing off others' ideas as collaborative synthesis, smiling as if he's doing the company a favor. He has no idea how many times I wrote complex crisis communications at midnight. How many times my phrases smoothed sharp edges between teams. How many internal conflicts I buried before they reached public Slack channels. But none of this is in the KPIs. It's not a task item. It can't be generated. They call it emotional competence when they want to lay you off nicely. I come back to myself. On the screen, Jared again. We'll follow up individually with everyone affected by the transition. HR will reach out with next steps. Transition? They love that word. It sounds neutral, without consequences. A transition. A bridge. A road. But they walk that road without you. I look at my screen, at familiar Slack, Notion, Confluence icons. I was part of that infrastructure, invisible but important. Like cement between tiles. And now they decided that cement can be replaced with a stylus, that it's enough to have AI with a template to keep the whole team in shape. That GenAI can feel context. That models understand when the product team's API isn't broken, but trust is. I turn off Zoom. The clock reads 10:21. I go to the kitchen, pour myself more coffee. I don't know what they're planning next, but I know exactly what they already won't be able to do. They won't be able to feel when to say less so the team hears more. They won't be able to explain to an investor in simple terms why a release delay is not a failure but a strategy. They won't be able to bring back the atmosphere they destroyed with one click on Optimize Workforce. Because this is not a product, this is a person. And they just fired me. Or, well, tried to. 2 years ago, things were different. We were sitting at a WeWork on 3rd Street in San Francisco. The room smelled of coffee and ambition. Back then, there were 16 of us, including the founders. No departments, no processes, just one general Slack channel and a folder called Everything. I was hired as communications lead, but from day one, I did whatever needed doing right now. Someone needed a statement written for partners? I wrote it. Servers crashed before a demo, panic everywhere. I wrote an update, framed it not as a disaster, but a temporary pause to recalibrate strategy. In meetings, I listened between the lines. At the end of all those complaints and discussions, I knew how to say one sentence that made everyone feel better. I wasn't a star, I was the anchor. When everything was falling apart, I kept the team afloat. Usually at night. usually without days off. Emails went out at 2:47 a.m. Slack reactions came early in the morning. You saved us. How did you even write this? Exactly what we needed. No, AI sees that. It's not a task, not a deliverable. It's called invisible labor. I remember that evening before our Series A when we were nearly panicking. Co-founder Julian sat with his head in his hands. If we mess this up, we're dead. I silently sat down, opened my laptop, and wrote the investor pitch deck in one breath. Made 2 versions, bold and safe. Sent it off. 2 days later, money in the bank. That wasn't in my job description. But no one looked at job descriptions when the clock was ticking. I remember November when we lost a client from Houston because of bugs. The QA team was exhausted. The PM nearly quit. I wrote a letter to the client, no excuses, only respect and specifics. 3 days later, the client came back. And sent another one. I didn't code. But I translated between developers and users, between emotion and reason. I was the interface, not digital, but human. And now they tell me my interface can be replaced with GPT with autofilters and templates. They missed one thing. AI can talk, but it doesn't feel what's between the lines. It doesn't hear the silence that's louder than words. They optimized the workload, but they didn't understand what burden I lifted. One Slack message of mine could ease tension across 5 departments, simply because I knew how to say it, and when. And now I sit in silence, no calendar, no tasks, no reminders, but for the first time in a long time with the feeling that everything is just beginning. It had only been 2 days since Jared sent me the email with that line. We're optimizing workflows via automation. And already in the general Slack channel, there was an announcement. Exciting news! We're rolling out our new AI assistant alpha mode is live. I was still in the channel. No one had removed me manually. So I saw how it all began. They connected an AI copywriter based on GPT with marketing plugins. Supposedly, it would now write email campaigns, landing pages, LinkedIn posts, customer replies all, without emotions, without delays, without mistakes. On the screen, screenshots of the interface. Autotone, friendly, assertive. Optimize for conversion. Shorten, clarify, add CTA. Beautiful, smart, logical. And as Jared said, scalable. The first results didn't take long. Slack was full of enthusiastic emojis. Wow, it wrote 3 blog drafts in 10 minutes. This is wild, we've been sleeping on this tech. We don't need full-time content now. But I just watched silently. On day 2, the first mailing went out. Subject line. Efficiency unlocked, welcome to a new era. Everything seemed in place, structure, numbers, bullets. But it lacked what made our voice unique. We disappeared. This appeared instead. The email felt like a conference brochure, technical, clean, empty. Before, we wrote lively. Here's what we've learned shipping 30 features in 90 days. Now it was, our latest product update reflects our commitment to velocity and innovation. It looked like everything was fine, but you couldn't feel the team behind it. Then the client started writing. The emails were polite, but between the lines, confusion. Hey, just curious, did your comms team change? This last email felt kind of corporate. We really liked the tone you had before. Are you working with an agency now? I saw this and thought, this is what almost good means. This is what it means when everything is in place except the heart. AI doesn't make mistakes. But it can't know when not to speak. It can't sense what needs explaining, even if it's not in the brief. It doesn't know that a client in Seattle recently had a crisis and reads these emails not in a vacuum, but under stress. But I knew. AI responds fast. But clients leave slowly. First, they lose interest. Then trust. Then loyalty. And then no CTA can save you. I didn't gloat. I didn't write anything. I just made myself tea and opened my laptop again. Because when their beta phase of problems starts, I'll already have the final version of myself. A week had passed since their AI assistant went live. Officially alpha mode, not the final version, but in reality it was already writing everything I used to do. At first, it felt temporary. Like, we'd give it a chance, adapt, train it. But the more time passed, the clearer one thing became. It can put sentences together, but it can't connect people. Open rates started dropping. Our usual open rate for email campaigns was 41%. Now 23%, CTR down by 60%. But the numbers weren't the main thing. The main thing was the tone of the feedback. In comments on a LinkedIn post, "This sounds like ChatGPT on a deadline." On Twitter, "Did you guys outsource your comms to an AI intern?" Even our longtime partner from San Jose messaged one of the designers directly. "Is Michelle still with you? Something's changed. The writing feels off." No response followed. And that became the second problem: silence. AI can't reply off script. It can't feel when it's time to switch to human language instead of inserting a template. "Thanks for your feedback. We value your thoughts." Perfect grammar, perfect phrases. Not a single mistake, and not a single soul. Our PR partners began to disappear slowly. At first, they didn't respond immediately. Then, "We're busy right now." Then silence. We worked with an agency in Los Angeles that used to love our email briefs. They liked how we talked to the market, not broadcast at it. Now zero reaction. The AI generated tone-deaf texts. It didn't know the industry context, the team's insights, hidden triggers. It hadn't read the Forrester report that said our audience was tired of algorithmic voices. I knew this. I wrote it, decoded it, conveyed it through nuance. AI just wrote. It could answer a question, but it couldn't hear doubt. It could add bullets, but it couldn't feel the weight of a pause. They didn't get it at first. For Jared, everything was going according to plan. But the people, the very ones this was all for? I stopped believing. They read but didn't feel. They opened but didn't engage. They nodded but were already looking for alternatives. This is the crack the system doesn't hear, but the person who once held it all together hears perfectly. And I listened. Not with bitterness, but with a premonition. Soon they'll remember that between the lines there's not just data, there's meaning. And it can't be generated with a single prompt. A week and a half has passed since I left. Everything looked smooth on the outside. Inside, chaos was brewing, disguised as a transformation. Slack wasn't just a work chat anymore, it was a hallway full of panic. A new channel number copy hotfix appeared, and every night someone was on it. Urgent fixes for email campaigns. "Hey, who can rewrite the landing page by morning?" AI messed up the tone of voice again, sounds like a banking bot. Tuesday, 2:51 a.m. One of the junior marketers, Laura, wrote in the main channel. "Please check the privacy paragraph. It sounds like an IRS statement." A minute later, another message. That's the third client feedback saying our tone has become soulless. We're rewriting again. Where there used to be dialogue, now there was dehydrated text that had to be rescued manually. Emergency syncs every morning. The team on the call, tired faces, coffee like IV drips. And Jared, on camera in a perfectly lit room, says in his soothing voice, "It's a transition. We'll adjust. This is normal." Nobody believed this was normal anymore. In one of those meetings, while everyone quietly waited for some dashboard to load, designer Aaron muted his mic but forgot to turn off his camera. He whispered, and I read his lips. Michelle knew how to talk to people, now we're talking into the void. One phrase. Said out loud accidentally. But it hit the mark perfectly. I really did know how to talk. Not because I had a linguistics degree, but because I lived inside the product, inside the team, inside the client. And now there's emptiness. AI can generate a sentence, but it can't ask a question at the right moment. AI can insert a quote, but it can't feel where it will resonate and where it will be just background noise. By midweek, someone posted a meme in the main channel. An old painting with the caption, "AI wrote it, marketing fixed it, clients ignored it." Everyone reacted with emojis, even Jared. But behind those, you could feel the coldness. Just a month ago, we were discussing tone mapping and empathic UX. Now we're just patching holes. Their optimization resulted in overtime, uncertainty, and growing shame over public texts. Because when no one knows how it's supposed to sound, everything sounds the same. I watched from the sidelines. Not with pity, with understanding. They were missing a person. But they decided a model would be enough. But a brand isn't just words. It's a feeling of who's speaking to you and who you want to answer. And now, they didn't want to answer anymore. Friday morning, 7:32 a.m. A cafe on the corner of Lincoln Street in San Francisco, my usual flat white. I just opened my laptop, ready to work on a freelance project, when a push notification arrives from a former colleague. "Did you see this? Check Slack as soon as possible, everything's on fire." I haven't worked there for almost 2 weeks. But the professional curiosity kicked in. I opened the company's open Slack channel, the one for internal announcements, still read-only for me. And there it is. PR incident investor reaction. Looks like one of the automated newsletters, generated by GenAI from a template, went out to the wrong people and with the wrong tone. The subject line read, "How we're changing the game and why you should pay more attention." The email was sent to James Hutchins, a partner at Shoreline Ventures, one of their key seed round investors. James's reply was short and icy. "Not sure what's going on there, but this feels off. Let's talk before the next board." Off. That word hung in the air like an alarm bell. I knew James. He was always a fan of honest, concise communication. Loved numbers, avoided hype. And here, AI sends him something sounding like a crypto startup landing page from 2021. All because of automation. All because of optimization. Panic in the office. Jared personally calls an emergency Zoom with the board. CFO, CMO, and head of client services are there too. My former team lead Chris later said, "He looked like he just realized he sold everyone a promise without checking the expiry date." The board clearly didn't appreciate their biggest LP feeling uncertain because of poor communication. This wasn't just a copywriting issue anymore. This was a risk for the next round. Jared mumbles, "We're in a transitional phase. AI integration is showing initial friction, but the long-term potential?" But the board's response was sharp. "Friction we didn't ask for, value we don't yet see." In board language, this meant, "We don't trust your control over the situation." Inside the team, an urgent rollback. They disable AI newsletters. Bring back manual editing. Start doing what I used to do, only worse, slower, and with fear in their voices. One marketer writes in Slack, "Remember Michelle's investor briefs? They were like jazz smart, short, personal." Yes, I remember. I didn't copy past templates. I understood who I was writing to, and why. AI can do generally right. But in critical moments, you need dead on. And now, neither on point nor on time. What once seemed automation now looks like a failure of responsibility. The problem isn't AI. The problem is who it replaced. And as I saw on that Zoom screenshot, Jared stopped smiling for the first time. Even through gritted teeth. I didn't write it out of anger. Not to sting anyone. It just, all of it inside had ripened. A week has passed since that incident email. They're already scrambling to fix things. I'm at home in Palo Alto with a cup of matcha and a feeling I haven't had in a long time. Peace. I look at LinkedIn. The feed is the usual mixed success and burnout, self-promotion and self-help. And suddenly, I just wanted to speak honestly. No revenge. No drama. Just as it is. I opened a new window and wrote, "Replaced by AI. No hard feelings, just hard facts. I spent 2 years building a tone, a culture, a sense of presence in every word we sent out. But culture doesn't show up in metrics. Empathy isn't A/B tested. Care doesn't come from a prompt. You can automate content. You can't automate context. You can automate text. You can't automate trust. What happened to me is not unique, and that's the real story. I'm not angry. I'm just free now. Free to build where humanity still matters. P.S. To the bots reading this, you're doing your best. It's not your fault. I hit post and closed my laptop. No expectations, no anxiety. An hour later, dozens of likes. 3 hours later, hundreds of shares. My former colleagues comment, Michelle carried that team quietly. It wasn't code, it was coherence. An HR director from New York writes, we keep automating outputs and forgetting the input is human experience. A TikTok comedian screenshots my post and adds, replace middle managers with AI but keep Michelle. I laugh. Because yes, that's exactly how it felt. I wasn't replaced by something better. I was replaced by something more convenient, but less wise. The next day, 2 people I barely spoke to in that company write me, I always thought you were one of the few who truly understood how communication works. You wrote so that even financial reports felt like personal letters. I didn't need that recognition. But it was like a warm breeze on my face after a long winter. You move on. But no longer with resentment. With confidence. The post gathered 1,500 comments, 12,000 reactions. It hit the top of LinkedIn News in the Workplace and AI section. Amid all this, an email arrives. From Jared. Hey Michelle, saw your post. Hope you're doing well. If you're open to it, I'd love to chat. No pressure, just a check-in. I smile. And don't reply. Because that is the answer. Exactly 2 weeks had passed. I was sitting on the porch of my house in South Bay, San Jose. Early morning, the sun was just beginning to sketch out the silhouettes of houses. Laptop on my knees, a cup with the remnants of a now cold lavender latte. Email, LinkedIn, Slack. Nothing extraordinary until a notification popped up. From Jared Green. Subject, would love to chat if you're open to it. Message, hi Michelle. I've been thinking, maybe we moved too fast. Would you be open to a quick call this week? I reread the message 3 times. Not because I didn't understand, but because I wanted to savor the moment. Just a month ago, this same person confidently said, AI can do this faster and cheaper. And now, we've been thinking. I agreed to the call. Not for him, for me. I wanted to hear exactly how they'd put it into words. The call, Zoom. Jared's face appeared on screen the same, but his eyes no longer held that CEO swagger. Now there was something else in them, something closer to uncertainty. He smiled tight, uneasy. Started speaking, a little scattered. Hey, Michelle. Thanks for hopping on. I'll be honest, things have been complicated since you left. I stayed quiet, looked straight at the screen. He kept going. I think maybe we moved too fast. The team's been struggling, the voice feels off. The investors noticed. Clients too. And, well, the team misses you. I miss the human touch. He paused, waiting, hoping I'd say something. That the relief in his face might be confirmed. But I didn't rush. I felt that same calm I had the day I got the termination email. Not anger, not a need to prove anything, just clarity. Thank you, Jared, I finally said. I appreciate the honesty. But I had to be pushed that far to realize I'm no longer a supporting character in this story. I'm the author. He tried to smile, unsure where to take it from there. I mean, if you're open to returning in some capacity, even part-time, we could... I interrupted gently. I'm not coming back. I'm choosing now. I ended the call first. That same day, 2 more LinkedIn messages. One from a VP of content in Seattle. We'd love your help shaping our narrative for our Series C. The second from an international foundation. You understand the balance between automation and authenticity. Can we talk? And I realized, sometimes, to become irreplaceable, you have to be replaced first. But where I go next? That choice is mine now. 2 weeks after my viral LinkedIn post, another email. But this time, not from Jared. From a board member. Concise, respectful. Michelle, we are revisiting our communication strategy and would like to discuss the possibility of collaborating in a fractional leadership role. This is a contract position. You set the terms. Would you be interested in a conversation? I read the email twice. And honestly, I smiled. Not because I won, but because now I could choose. A week later, a short Zoom call. No, let's do intros, no brainstorm. Clear and to the point. What do you need? Clean access to people, content, and freedom from daily stand-ups. Understood. That's how I came back. But not back forward. Not as a full-time employee, but as a fractional head of narrative, a contract leader for communication strategy. I work on my terms. Morning in Palo Alto, my consultations. Evening, my own project. Meetings? Only if they move the idea forward, not just simulate busyness. The first thing I did a language audit. Not texts. Not headlines. But tone, context, direction. I showed how the same product can sound like AI-powered workflow automation at scale. Or, finally, a tool that handles the busy work so you don't have to. I don't rewrite everything myself. I train their AI the right way. I create guides. How to adapt messages for different cultures. How to read between the lines of feedback. How to build dialogue, not just push content. AI isn't the enemy, but it's like a junior assistant, smart, fast, but not sensitive. And sensitivity can't be bought. It can only be passed on. Here's the paradox. That same Jared now writes me, "Hey Michelle, can you review this new onboarding email set? We're trying to sound more, well, human." I don't feel anger. I just work. Because it's in moments like these that change happens. Not loud. Not dramatic. But tangible. I didn't return to the team. I returned to the essence. Now I'm not part of a system that needs to fit into a structure. I'm the interface between machines and people. Where technology ends, my zone of responsibility begins. And you know what's surprising? It all started when they optimized me. And now I'm their focal point. 6 months have passed. Austin, spring, conference room at the Fairmont Hotel on 101 Red River Street. I'm on stage not as a guest expert, not as the former employee, but as a keynote panelist in Narrative and Ethics in the Age of AI. Behind me on the screen, a dark background, white letters. A quote I wrote 3 months ago while editing another AI-generated email. You can't automate trust. Pause. I give the audience a few seconds. People are silent. Then someone claps. Then the whole room follows. I start speaking. Everything we do in tech is about acceleration. Faster text generation, faster analysis, faster product rollout. But there are things you can't speed up. You can only build them. Trust is one of those things. Pause. I look out at the crowd, about 150 people. Startup founders, product managers, AI engineers, UX designers. I'm not against AI. I'm against forgetting that behind every email there's a person who reads it. Not a model, not logic, emotion, experience, context. I show a slide, 2 texts. One AI generated, the other mine. The room guesses which is which, not right away, but when they do, they laugh. Not out of anger, out of recognition. AI is a tool, but people are the infrastructure. And if you replace the entire infrastructure with a tool, you get speed, but not resilience. After the session, people come up. Questions, selfies, business cards. Some want the framework, others a workshop for their team. One CTO from San Jose says, "Your point about empathy being a strategy, not a soft skill, just nailed it." I smile, thank them. but my mind is already elsewhere. I sit on the terrace under the morning sun with a cup of coffee. I open my notebook, paper. I take out a pen, black, fine tip, and write down a new idea. By hand, not in a prompt. Because thinking doesn't always have to be instant. Sometimes it should be slow, warm, awkward, alive. Humanity is not a bug. It's our most important feature.